Okay, Revelation 13:18. Here is wisdom. Let him that has understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Okay, now look down here at this Textus Receptus, the Greek version. Now let's look at 666 down here. You see the Greek letters. Now this is very interesting. We got an X, a squiggle, and a smaller squiggle, right? They didn't have 0 back then, so instead of having just the same number 6 held in places, this chi, the leftmost of the three, that represents 600. The middle one, 60, and the rightmost symbol represents 6. All right, so that's how they did it back then. Now, you see a lot of memes going around that look just like this. Bismillah, and then the X. So look at the top part of this. Okay, now I was an Arabic translator, and yeah, this the third one there, the rightmost symbol, that absolutely could be Bism. And it looks like the symbol. Now, below that you see they've copied over how it was originally written when they were making Bibles by hand. This is what it looked like. Wow, yeah, it totally looks like that, right? So now look at the middle one, Allah. That is the stroke order for Allah. That's how you would write it out. Except that this is the mirror image, and it's been rotated clockwise 90 degrees. Now the third one, this is the one that I was showing. Wow, it's crossed swords. With swords tips pointed up means war. So war in the name of Allah, right? But look down here at the actual one in the lower version. That doesn't necessarily look like crossed swords. It could be a pistol and a sword, right? But what it really looks like to me is chromosomes. When the chromosomes in mitosis line up on the metaphase plate, so it's metaphase, that's what they look like before they separate, right? Got the little centromere here, is the intersection of those two lines. Bam, that's chromosomes separating. So now we've got this luciferase, right? And they're putting it into people to alter their chromosomes. And here, this thing looks like 2 chromosomes. But let's look at it a little bit more, all right? Here's a picture of mitosis. So this is a representation of what happens. If you look at some real microscope pictures, they're all jumbled together, but they're just in the standard textbook, they show it to you real neat like that, right? That's how they do. They attach in the middle, they swap some stuff, and then they're ready to separate, okay? And then comes anaphase. Again, here I talked about the 6 numbers. 6 and 60 and 600 are all different. A fourth line up from the bottom. You can see here they are again, all right? I think that God did this on purpose, right? God was in charge of the Greek numbers. Like, why that's the number for 60? Why is it so complex? Everything else is more simple. Why is it so ornate, this number for 60? Because it had to look like the way that they wrote Allah. It had to, so that you would understand what he was talking about, because there's a message in there. Here's another thing that God did. In the Hebrew language, the word for curse is pronounced Allah. It's a homonym. Look over here on the right side. You see that top one there? That's it. Those 2 middle ones, those are L's. Looks like a 7 with a feather in his cap. The rightmost one is a Q sign of a sound. It's called a cough, right? Except here's the thing. In speech, because the cough noise is not easy to make, they just substitute it out for a glottal stop. So you just get, instead of Allah, right, which you could pronounce that way if you chose, you just get Allah, right? So Allah, the God of Islam, and Allah in Hebrew are the same sound, homonyms, but it means curse. So to the Hebrew, he gets it. There are things like this in every language, people. In English, the word for the sun in the sky is S-U-N, and the Son of God is S-O-N, the light of the world, right? Boom, there you go, all right? So there are all these hints, these fun things that God has put in there. Right? There's straight, direct knowledge in the scriptures, but there are hidden treasures for kings to seek them out. In the name of Allah. Okay, here I just wanted to type it in. I wanted to show you here, right? Bismillah. But you see these 3 little spikes in the middle of the scene, but it can just be written in the written form as just a straight line, just an extended, a long straight line. And that's how you get that. It looks like that number 6 from Greek. So let's look at some of this. Okay, here's one. Bismillah. So here they just put a long line. That's a little confusing. This one, boom. I like the way this one is. This, if you look here, the dot there, that's for the B. Then this long line, and then the little fat part at the end there, and then the tail that comes down. Okay, so that's Bism, and it just looks just like that Greek 6, but you just have to rotate it counterclockwise 90 degrees. And then seated in that long arch is the Allah part. All right, this is what we're looking at, people. This is so amazing. Just look at that. That's how they wrote it in the Greek. That's how God caused it to happen. It looks like, in the name of Allah. In the name of Allah, altering the DNA. Right? Coming in there, corrupting the human body. It's the number of a man. It pertains to a man, and a man has chromosomes. This is just my thought. It's not completely formed yet, but I was so excited about this, I wanted to share it with all of y'all. All right, this is the man from Modesto, reminding you, as always, pray or be defeated.